Okay, everything seems okay. Alrighty then. So the first game that we are going to take a look at today was the second game in the set of That's So Pish versus Maiden Meta from last weekend's Masters of the Mist tournament on EU. So thank you very much to Guild Wars 2 Guru, as well as Curse for allowing me to use this footage. We're going to switch over to the VLC window now. Hopefully that's still running correctly. Bob-a-ding. Just make sure this still runs in video. And yes, it does. Okay, very good. All right, so I wanted, again, because I'm still testing this as a show, sort of, so we're going to try this two different ways. I want to try this to where I just play the original video and then jump in on unique moments and sort of explain to you guys what's going on, what's happening here, sort of explain what could have been, what the variations of this situation could have been. And I also want to try it where I completely recast it, because I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, it's actually, and I tried doing it earlier, it's really hard to recast these games when we do not have control over it. So I prefer to do the first option for now, but I will try the second option. I just want to see how it goes first, try to... When the stream is over, I'd appreciate a tweet or just a little note there letting me know which option you preferred so I can adjust it for future streams. So, nonetheless, this is That's So Pish versus Maiden Meta, the second match in the set. This one ended pretty awesomely. This was probably one of the best games in that tournament. It ended with a Lord Rush, so we're going to take a look, break it down, and go over it once more. So, and once again, this game is casted by Grouch and Maker. Be sure to check out their stuff as well. And once again, thanks to Guild Wars 2 Guru for letting us use the footage. So without further ado, let's start the game. I'm going to turn up the audio a bit here. And like I said, I'll be pausing it, rewinding it to go over certain things here. And again, apologies for the stream quality. This is like going to be like double...
Congrats, Guild Wars 2.
Quality, but
John Peters is looking for the 4K. If you guys can make that happen, that's awesome. Well, I guess we'll keep pushing, or you guys keep pushing. We'll just kind of keep doing our thing. Looks like the game actually is starting. Let me get back in here. Oh my goodness.
Excellent. Looking at the split here, get to catch it.
Yeah, look at the split here. Looks like we got it. Looks like red team sending one to Quarry, standard, and looks like blue team's be sending one to Waterfall to cap that here as well.
Okay, so let's pause this real quick and take a look at what's going on here. This is the opening split. Obviously, most of you know what this is here. As we're going to see, the opening split is a very important choice. And also, just to bring it up here, this is going to serve as a sort of introduction to Guild Wars 2 as well for those of you who are new. I'm going to be explaining things pretty in-depth, all the terms and whatnot, so if you're new to Guild Wars 2, this is the perfect stream for you. You can jump right in, listen, and hopefully I'll do my best to explain everything. So the opening split. This went actually pretty typically for what a match you would expect of this caliber. A lot of times... Actually, this was a little different. Because most of the time you'll see 2 or 3 people heading over to here, to the close point. While other times you may see, like, this team, for instance, on a pretty often, actually, you'll see the red team, because they have a sort of height advantage here. So sometimes you'll see them group up right here where my mouse is pointing and jump into a Shadow Refuge and then rush this point. But we didn't really see that this game. We saw a pretty usual split here where we saw 4 members from each team, the main team fight composition, head into the middle. Meanwhile, the Elementalist for Maiden Meta and the Ranger for the Reds for That's So Pish ran over to Quarry, so they're a little more offensive and passive players sort of went for their side points. So that sort of breaks down what goes on in the beginning of the game there. And as well, we saw the pregame buffs. That's a pretty important part here, team composition there. So let's start it off here, and let's take a look at what goes down in the first team fight.
Looks like we might be seeing a Refuge play over here. Let me take a look. Yeah, we are seeing a Refuge play.
We do actually see Maiden Meta actually opting to go for all 4 in the Refuge play. Normally we see only 3 and then 1 bunker going in ahead to start the capture.
Ooh, putting that... Oh my goodness.
Wow, they actually did utilize it, but the Illusion of Life and back up right away. Seltham for Pish is just about to go down. He's right off point. He's not going to be in a good... Well, he does have some allies there. Are they going to get there to res in time?
Oh, going to have to try to get Azani down there. Probably
actually, he missed off the point heading...
Now let's pause and go over what just happened there, guys. You saw the beginning of that team fight. What went down there... And again, guys, leave feedback constantly because this is something completely new. I've never tried this before. So what we saw there was pretty unique, actually, for a team fight. We saw all 4 members of the main team fight bulk on That's So Pish jump into a Shadow Refuge. Now, what that allowed them to do is they were all in stealth, and it allowed them to move in. Was it the best choice? Obviously not, actually, because what we saw there was Maiden Meta have a pretty much a complete counter to it. They actually, I think they saw it coming, and the Mesmer, actually, Azani had a very nice play using his focus to sort of pull them all out of it and stop that from even happening. So, I mean, just to keep a note there for the future, those sort of plays may not be the best option when you're going for a direct team fight because it's pretty predictable that it's going to be coming. That might have been an oversight on their part, but nonetheless, it was a unique play nonetheless. Let's actually take a look again to see how that broke down. Apologies, I gotta find the right spot here. Is that close? Yeah, so we saw here they were all in stealth, and they sort of, looks like they tried to group up for a gank on someone, possibly on one of the weaker characters in the fight here. But then as we play it here, we're gonna see...
Wow, they actually did utilize it.
That they did believe... Let's see who they got down. Sorry, I gotta rewind it just a bit. Alright, so who went down here? I believe Pish's Guardian. And
We do actually see Maiden Meta actually opting to go for all 4 in the refuge play. Normally we see only 3 and then 1 bunker going in ahead to start the capture.
Ooh, putting that...
So this was another oversight, I think, on Pish's part, is because they had to send in 3 of their members into the Shadowed Refuge, they left Guardian of Pish completely open to pretty much the full burst of the blue team. So they ended up also having to waste their Illusion of Life. I think they used it on, I believe. Let me just check that.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Wow, they actually did utilize it, but the Illusion of Life...
Apologies, I gotta pause this a lot. The Mesmer did use his Illusion of Life, so once again, the play sort of really turned against them. It's a pretty risky play, and unfortunately, it didn't really go their way. So let's rewatch the rest of the team fight again here. Go forward a bit. Yeah, so right back here, let's watch it again.
The body, he missed off the point, heading back towards midpoint, where he does have some allies, doesn't quite get far enough. It looks like they're going to get a stomp now.
And, yep, Pish, or Guardian Pish does actually get rallied up here, no problem, so the Illusion of Life did keep him up and actually won that team fight for them there. Looks like he's getting focused here kind of hard, though. He does have a pretty good spread of condies on him right now. He does get his, does get the cleanses up. He actually gets hold the line up here as well, trying to get a little bit of those conditions off of him.
Yeah, speaking of conditions, you can definitely see that Maiden Meta is actually suffering from a little bit more of from the condition damage. Looking over here at Farpoint, we do see 1v1 here, Ultima versus More 1 Inc. Here at, I'm sorry, Quarry.
Now, he just moved away, but we just saw there actually a pretty good example. Let me go back here before he jumps out of the picture. Let me scroll back. Yeah, right. A little too far. There we go. I think right around here we can see it.
We do see 1v1 here, Ultima versus More 1 Inc.
What you saw there was a pretty good example of the kind of burst you can expect coming from, I believe HDH engineers. So that was a pretty nice burst there. We saw him, and I believe right here, Jim Battlemaster actually takes him down as well. So again, we're seeing there just how squishy and how powerful some of these burst characters can be.
Here at,
And then as they jump over here, just note this for the newer guys too. This is a pretty bold strategy, but nonetheless pretty usual for what we see on bunkers here. The Elementalist for blue team, I believe it being Ultima at the time here, has used his ultimate for the tornado ability, which what this is pretty much allowing him to do, and they've done it successfully, is deny red team their close point, because this ranger cannot stay on the point. He doesn't really have any way to pop stability, so as we're going to see here in just a second, I'll turn on the volume a little bit so I can talk over it. But as we're going to see, he's just going to sort of get knocked around here and not be able to hold contention. And he'll be forced to get off the point. So far, as we've seen, Maiden Metas hold a pretty dominant rush on this fight, or a rush on this game. But we may see the turnaround here as we're now seeing Red Team's Elementalist move in, but let's watch the rest.
Very, very early in the game. Could go anywhere here. They actually do get a decap there on Waterfall. Let's go check that out real quick here. See what's going on. Looks like, yeah, Seltham actually got the decap here on Waterfall. Probably going to get a full cap. I don't see anyone coming in. So once he's done there, he's probably going to push back into the mid fight here at Graveyard and see what kind of difference he can make.
Yeah, looks like Team Pish actually grabbed
Mopey actually gets focus pulled into the to the Mesmer combo. Actually gets taken down and actually
another
gets down.
Great example of the kind of burst you can expect there on the squishier characters. You really got to watch out for that and sort of be ready to dodge that or get ready for it.
In case he doesn't just to yeah, he actually does teleport out.
Teleports off the point.
A ton of damage going on. I actually think Dim's going to go down here.
Does get killed.
And now right there, like we saw there, let's talk about that real quick. Jim Battlemaster had just died on point. That's another interesting topic I like to bring up sometimes is there's often a debate when dying in the more higher tier games of do you want to die on point or do you want to die off point? Well, there's ups and downs to both. Generally, I would say you would want to die on the point itself. But in a big team fight situation like that, especially on a thief where you're very squishy, there's a lot of issues with the fact that you're gonna just get bursted down with AoE anyway, and your teammate may not be able to res you. So this is another thing you have to consider when you're about to go down: is do you want to try to use one of your movement abilities to sort of get out of there quickly and die off the point, where your teammates may have a chance to skirt out of the fight and res you, but at the same time, by you dying off the point, they're going to have to jump off the point themselves and get out of the fight or be able to disengage and get to you. whereas the other team will more than likely have a pretty easy job knowing you went down there and just go over there and stomp you. So it's another sort of thing you have to look at when in team fights as well. Let's watch the rest.
We do see Zorby as well as the Guardian both looking about half health on midpoint. Zorby actually goes down off the midpoint. Looks like he's about to get a stomp. Maybe does get the telly off. Oh, wow, he gets it right outside. Wow!
That was the
right
most
into the
amazing
res.
RNG teleport ever.
Wow, that was well played, Zorby.
They really, well, I don't know if he played it, man, but they really take advantage of it here. He actually is still down. Not sure they're going to try to get him up here. Camera angle's a little wonky, but it looks like they're just going to leave the clone on him and kind of let him bleed out. So interesting choice by Pish to let him go. Looks like we also have Seltham down as well. So it looks like it's kind of going in main meta's favor here towards the mid fight.
Yeah, it looks like main meta.
Now, what we just saw there, it was somewhat worthless, but nonetheless it was good. Let's look at what just happened there. The Elementalists for the red team, Selthorn. Sorry, I got a cough real quick. I apologize. The Elementalists there, Selthorn, did a really good job. That was a good choice. Nonetheless, it was a bit fruitless considering. What he did there was he used his misform to get back on the point. Now, if this would have been a 1v1, that would have been an amazing use of his misform, because what that's going to do is it's going to allow him to keep the point in contention and further deny them any recap or decap of it, if that's so, and possibly hold it off for an incoming teammate. Nonetheless, though, considering this point was sort of already capped, it was a bit of a, it wasn't really the most useful play, but nonetheless, he had to pop that ability anyway. Actually, considering the situation here, never mind. I won't state that. That would have been a miscalculation. But anyway, so far what we've seen in this match is we've seen main and meta pretty much dominate Pish in terms of the team fights. Pish has had some pretty nice plays, but when it comes to the team fight, we've seen MIM come on top here most of the time. Just looking at the general comps here, I want to make an assumption as to why. We have a Ranger who seem to be playing backpoint. Guardian obviously is going to be playing middle. Jim Battlemaster will be the one on ganks, but from what we've seen of his point of view, it seemed that blue team was doing an excellent job of countering that. Selthorn seemed to be their backpoint player and their little bit of a defensive mesmer. And then Zorby was the one who was, he's your general mesmer. He's not really straying from the path at all, at least from what I remember from this game. Meanwhile, over here, we have a pretty solid comp in terms of damage to defense ratio, which is the term I'm going to use here. Damage to defense ratio is sort of, you want that to be even. We sort of have two ends of the team spectrum. We have the very bunkery teams and the very damagey teams. This one seemed to be pretty balanced, and you generally want it to be balanced. If you're tipping too far either way on that scale, you're generally either not going to be able to do enough damage and eventually get wiped anyway, and the game will just drag on for long and be very boring, or if you're on the damage side too heavy, you're just going to get completely wiped because the other team is going to have the sustainability to take you down. So what we're seeing here, I think, is possibly a bit too much defense. They've got three what appears to be pretty defensive characters. The Ranger here seems to be on or at least for the most part, again, I can't look at their builds, I apologize for that, but nonetheless, he seems to be on a pretty defensive build straight here. Most Rangers are running defensive builds nowadays. Selthorn, again, he's the Elementals, he was playing backpoint, so I can only assume he's playing a little more of a defensive build. Probably the usual... what am I looking at here? 0, 10, 30, 30 is more than likely what he was running. And again, these are just assumptions I'm picking up here because I can't actually see their builds. And then you have Guardian of Pish, which is your usual choice here for a team composition. Meanwhile, in main and meta, it seems a lot more balanced. They seem to have a 2 to 2 to 1 ratio in terms of their damage. They have, meanwhile, it seems like 3 to 1 to 2 here, or 3 to 1 to 1 rather. Looking over here to MIM, they have two what seems to be defensive characters, or I'll call them more defensive characters, Ultima and Sam. Sam being the Guardian obvious choice, and then Ultima being their backpoint elementalist. And then we also have a Zani, Moby, I believe is his name. I apologize, there's a bit of pixelation there. And then Soldaris being their thief, who what seems to be a pretty nice choice. All that combined, Soldaris and Moby make a pretty good combo, which we already saw that. They can, if chained and communicated well together, they can chain these bursts now pretty nicely, which is why I think Man and Meta just has the better team comp, which probably explains why they're winning these team fights a little bit more. But again, this is all assumption. I can't really, this is just judging from my part. But in any case, let's get back and keep watching.
With their 2 capture points, I'm sorry, they just lost 1, but they are currently leading by a little less than half, or double, I'm sorry. But does look like Maiden Meta is slowly starting to take a lead in this game.
Yeah, so we have Moby over here that was going 1v1 against more spam, the Ranger, so NG versus Ranger. But it looks like we did have more Maiden Meta come in and try to swing this fight in their favor, so they're actually going to get a decap here on this point just fairly shortly once they get to stomp out on him.
Yeah, I like that he's keeping his body on point there. Definitely very valuable.
And again, real quick, just to note something again, I apologize. I am pausing this a lot. Please tell me if I'm pausing too much and you guys are finding this boring at all. This is a very in-depth stream today. So what we saw there, and this is another good example of if you have a team, this is what you should be doing to improve your game. This is actually, let me go back and go over this one more time. Right about there. Turn it down. Turn it a little.
Versus Ranger, but looks like we did have more Maiden Meta this fight in their favor, so they're actually going to get a decap here on this point. Just
so now the Ranger goes down here,
stomp out on him.
And as we see, the other members of MIM, and this is what you should do. There's no other threat nearby, so there's no point in keeping the other members of your team there. As soon as you know you won the fight, get your other guys out of there and move them to another point where they could be of better use. It's a very good thing that MIM was doing here, and it's a pretty crucial part in determining yourself.
That's a good point to make, yes. Yeah, because certain cap points, like for instance the middle one, you do have the high ground all around, but there's not as much line of sight offered.
It looks like Pish is going to go for a triple refuge here. They do have Jim, the Guardian, and was that Zorby that was in on that as well? So they're going to try to probably burst down Sam here. Actually, looks like they do get the Moa off on him immediately. They're going to try to get him bursted down here just shortly. Looks like he's doing a pretty good job avoiding the damage.
He's doing a damn good job, yeah.
Like
Moby is actually, they focus first him down. He gets down, working with that res, but they're keeping him full up, but they do get the spike. Sam is still looking really low on midpoint, gets the shield 5, pushes them all off. Still getting focus fired.
Yeah, Sam did try to go in and get a little bit of res off there, but he took a lot of AoE damage in the process. He actually does get a
life on Sam.
Yeah, he's got 15 seconds to make something happen. Meta needs to make something happen. Probably going to try to focus more Zorby down. They actually do get him down here. Probably just going to do some cleave damage here because he is able to avoid that first stomp. I think he's already blown his teleport.
4 seconds left on Illusion. He's down.
They've actually got 2 down on Maiden Meta here as well. They really need to get Zorby down. He's so close to going down.
He's so close.
This is pretty much down. Actually, they do get the res. Pish does get the res on Zorby, so they got the rally off of Sam and Soldaris. So it looks like Pish is probably going to take this mid fight here. They do have a lot of little connies going out here as well, but I don't think they're going to be much of a threat when it's 3v5.
Yeah, and it looks like Maiden Meta is actually taking away this game. Managed to neutralize Pish's 1 capture point, and they're currently leading by a...
And again, we see here that that Pish is doing the same thing here. They're getting out of there. They're getting out of there quickly as the fight's over because they know the threat's over, so they're going to move on to other points where they can assist. But anyway, let's talk about why that favor, or let's talk about that. That was actually another example of what you should do with Shadow Refuge, or when you should use Shadow Refuge. It was a very good play of it, and in my opinion, that was pretty much about 60% of the reason that won. MIM had also gone into a Shadow Refuge, but the fact that Pish had gone into one after them, they had the initial advantage of engagement because as they waited for it. So what ended up happening there was, and as we saw it there pretty quickly, Pish utilized it correctly, and Maiden Meta wasn't really able to counter it because I don't believe they had enough time to do so. So what they were able to do there is Pish was able to move in there and successfully MOA and then just completely gank. I believe it was the Ranger who went down there. I might rewind it. And then from there they just sort of, and with one member out, it would have put blue team on the disadvantage because if they had chosen to res, their health pools again would have trickled down from residual AoE getting from the attempted res. And then it just sort of trickled in their favor from there. So while they are at the disadvantage of the composition, Pish made a nice play, and that sort of turned it around for them. It's not all in the composition. It's a pretty important part of the game. However, like we just saw there, Pish made the best of it and managed to take it back.
Shortly, there he goes. Getting a lot of kills, actually. Looks like Pish is going to take back mid here. Actually, no. I take that back. Guardian Pish does get on point just in time. He's got... Yeah, so that's going to actually go on for a little bit longer there. Let's go take a look at Soldaris here. Looks like he does get Jim down here on side point, little 1v1 action, possibly 1v2. But there is 3 from Pish here, so I don't think he's going to be able to do much. He's going to need to really disengage. Actually, pardon me, he does go down in the refuge and take that back.
Looks like all 3 points...
You know, that's another nice thing for Thieves there. That's another choice you have when you go down for Thieves. If you get good at that, you can actually use your Shadow Refuge. when you go down. And most thieves know this already. Again, this is a stream for the newer guys to sort of help them out a bit. Right before you go down, if you're good with it, you can throw down your Shadow Refuge and use it as a sort of self-stealth, should I say, to res yourself or to give yourself some distance. Some better players like warriors and whatnot are going to be able to detain that, or are going to be able to counter that just by AoEing within the general vicinity, because they know you more than likely haven't moved yet. But if you do get a good amount of stealth and then move out of the way, they're going to be at a loss to where you are, and if you can get to a good spot, you might be able to self-res yourself.
Are neutralized here. There's fighting going on all locations. It looks like both teams spreading out their numbers. Definitely. Ooh, it looks like Waterfall is taken by That's So Pish. Here's their chance to make a comeback slowly but surely. Currently down by about 100 points. Has a little bit of making up to do.
Again, we have Ultima on going far point. I guess that's his what he's kind of known for on EU, is just always spending all of his time at your close point, just kind of hanging out, keeping your team distracted. So definitely doing a good job there, keeping that point neutral and in their favor.
We do see Soldaris down on a point here. Is this Waterfall? Yeah, it looks like he's just down on a point. I didn't catch the first part of what happened.
And as I mentioned earlier, I believe this is still residualizing from earlier. Soldaris had gone down, but he threw down his Shadow Refuge in stealth. So I guess Pish assumed he had already gone down. And then they sort of just ignored him, but because of that, he had been in stealth for so long, he was able to get himself rezzed, I believe, is what ended up going. That reinforcements came, and that sort of thing happened there. We couldn't really see how it went down, but yeah. And again, guys, if you feel like asking questions, feel free to do so, or if you would like to make any comments based on the quality of the stream at the moment. So.
Happened here.
Yeah, I did not catch this either. He's getting a full. He's rezzing himself up, no problem. Looks like he's going to make it. It looks like he got more one spam coming in, but he's going to get the res up before, and actually going to keep this point. I'm not sure how he's going to do 1v1 on this point versus more one spam. I think he's definitely
looks like he is going to try and hold it as long as he can.
Not a bad decision, to be honest. He's going to be able to do a little bit of good damage here, but we're going to go ahead and pop off here. I don't think it's going to go in his favor for right now. Looks like
he does have a very evasive spec. He's utilizing it very well. Ranger more one spams, looking really grim. Very much utilizing this sword evasion. Ranger does use his heal, slowly gaining that regen. But it does look like Maiden Meta is slowly taking the lead. Currently still holding 2 points, both exterior points, leading 300 to 170. Maiden Meta is looking bound and determined to pull this into a final round here.
Yeah, they've only got Asani left on mid, holding it neutral for Maiden Meta, and looks like they actually did get the MOA on Jim. And actually, Asani's, oh my goodness, he's going 1v2 right now at mid. He gets the MOA on Jim and actually takes him out with a little help from Ultima. Pretty impressive play by Asani, avoiding all the damage there on mid 1v2.
Yeah, he did well. Yeah, he evaded quite.
And also to note, this is VOD. This isn't actually live. Grouch and Maker aren't actually here. I'm just playing back the video because it's actually really hard to cast this stuff just from the VOD.
Quite a bit there. He is still holding on to midpoint there, as well as Sam is in there, as well as Ultima, I believe. Wow, actually, it looks like Team Pish managed to grab both exterior points, just about 195 points.
Now, let's pause that there for a minute. Let's talk about the importance of what went down there. We just saw what essentially was a... Let me open my soda here real quick. Oh, that sound. Oh, I know Waffle. I will. Apologies, Waffle. I need to check with you after that. I am interested in what you were proposing, though, so I'll talk to you about that later. But anyway, so let's talk about what went down there. Up to this point, we've seen Maiden Meta really just had the advantage. They had the team fight, they had the back caps, and it all seemed to fall apart right here. They lost. I believe they're going to lose middle in a minute here as well. I could be wrong on that, but. Let's think about why it went wrong. If we watch the past couple minutes, we've sort of seen MIM not really been engaging in the strong team they've been up to this point. They've been separated, they've been going in pairs of 2s instead of the 3 and 4 pairs we've been seeing up to this point. Now, I feel that this is a testament to their comp. The issues with it is it can work well, but the issue is they need to all be together. There's not a lot of strong solo players here. Thief can be strong, but he needs to be very skilled. Same with the engineer. The engineer, in my opinion at least, running an HGH build, I believe, or and in general any grenade build, isn't really going to be the strongest 1v1 player. He can do it, but just in general, when he's outnumbered, he's usually going to lose. Same with the Mesmer. Over here, back to looking, this is again where the comp play comes in. the game, it's right around here, Hyperspice, is where the game starts to sway over to Pish's favor. It's starting after this is where they start getting the comebacks here. And it seems it's because Maiden Meta, from what I'm gathering, we'll see it sort of materialize here in a minute as well. But we're going to see here that Maiden Meta stopped really fighting as a team and more went for the back caps, which is when they made a mistake, because as they went for back caps, they sort of were ganked there as well, which allowed Pish to gain these back caps and then Pish to eventually gain the advantage in the middle fight because MIM engaged when they were down people. So that sort of attests to why that fell apart. It's very important when you have a strong team fight comp to actually use that fight as a team. You have to decide with your comp whether you're going to be a team fight comp, in which case you need to be gravitating generally between 2 points, or if you're more of the defensive comp where you sort of want to have, where you want to not, where you, obviously you have to engage the team fight. There's no choice there. You have to engage a team fight. But if your comp is set up, it's going to lose it. Use that to your advantage. If it's starting to sway in your if it's starting to sway away in your favor. Apologies, I still have tonsillitis, guys. If it starts to sway away from your favor, you may want to try to get 1 or 2 of them out of there to go for a back point because they may have pulled people in there to reinforce. And at the same time, if you want to keep people there, if you have a stronger team fight comp. So yeah, as we're seeing here now, meta wasn't strong. It wasn't good at the smaller skirmishes. This Ranger's been holding off for like 3 to 4 minutes now on this point, and they haven't been able to kill him really.
Looks like Azani for Maiden Meta's down, gets off the point.
Yeah, it looks like they're going 1v2 against more 1-spam here on side point. Looks like Moby versus Soldaris. They actually did manage.
And again, we did see this over the weekend too. More 1-spam is actually a real. I think I did a scrim with them as well. More 1-spam is a really good Ranger as well. That's a testament to their solo. It seems that Pish had the solo advantage, while Maiden Meta had the team fight advantage. It's generally what led to this.
Take his pet out before he went down, so he'll not be getting the res from his elite. Let's go and take a look over here at back at the mid. Looks like they're going to be keeping that one no problem. Looks like, Pish has got a triple cap. This is pretty interesting turn of events.
Absolutely. It does look like Maiden Meta, well, they are reinforcing it. Jim's reinforcing the waterfall here. It looks like they're all reinforcing it, at least 4 of them here. They want this 3 cap, and it looks like they are going to be slowly making their way back in the game.
And again, as we're seeing right there, Maiden Meta groups up together. They have no problem taking down that thief in like 4 to 5 seconds. Obviously, it's 4v1, so it's going to go that way regardless, but they grouped up, and now they're going to start getting points back.
Unless Maiden Meta managed to capture a point, neutralize one of them. Maiden Meta did manage to get another kill, slowly lean it, and they're almost to the point where they can actually sneak a Lord kill for the win. They're about 22 points away, 22 points away from being able to sneak a Lord kill. They only need 150 points, so as soon as they have 350, they're capable of going in and launching a Lord Keep Assault.
Looks like we've got a triple refuge on Maiden Meta's part here, going into mid. Probably going to try to burst down Guardian of Pish. I'm not sure what their target selection is going to be here, or where Sidaris is going. Let's see. Coming back here to mid. Looks like actually everyone's bailing here. I'm going to go check out what... Azani gets eaten up.
Pushing him off the point.
Azani gets eaten up here at mid, so Maiden Meta's going to...
And again, just a testament to what I said. They were splitting up, and as a cause to that, because they were splitting up, Pish was getting the number advantage and just the general fight advantage, take them down pretty easily.
Down 1 here just shortly. They're getting a lot of damage going out on him right now. I'd like to go check out what Sidaris is doing here. He's going back on...
Something that I believe what happened there was Soldaris took down the gate. We wouldn't really see it, but I'm pretty sure Soldaris took down the gate at that point. I could be wrong. But they could have picked up on that and assumed, okay, guys, prepare yourselves because they might rush the Lord. This could have been a thought in their mind.
Well, yeah, looks like he checked out Quarry.
I don't know if they were thinking it at the time.
But... I'm really curious to see if we're going to see anyone going for any of the doors here. I guess you probably see either one of the Thieves or possibly one of the Mesmers do it for the portal play.
Yeah, that'd be a very good point. It does look like with the 2 capture points being held by Pish... Oh, I'm sorry, they did just lose 1. It looks like, unless they grab another capture point, they aren't going to be able to make their way back into it. However, they are almost to the point where they can do a Lord Rush as well. So I feel like either team is still really capable of winning this. Pish doing a great job of making their way back in, actually recovering from over 100-point deficit, doing a tremendous job making their way slowly back into the game.
Looks like Ultima was trying to contest that far point there. He actually was able to disengage in the 1v2. Looks like he's going to live no problem. Nice play by Ultima there. Let's check out Azani. Looks like Azani did go down here on Waterfall versus Zorby and Jim. He's going to get stomped down. Actually, he's going to die to bleeding.
And again, we're just to say again, we're seeing it. MIM split up. And I know this is probably getting annoying. I apologize for that. MIM split up, and as thus to this, they were just getting destroyed in 2v1s, 3v2s, and whatnot. They didn't They needed either an even fight or an advantage to win fights, which is why this is so
Absolutely
important
right
against
here.
them here.
Pish neutralizes Waterfall as well. Looks like they're about to take the triple. No, they get there just in time to keep it neutralized. They do have 2 points as opposed to...
And I want to say I think Pish realized this, because we're starting to see here now, Pish would see, oh, even numbers, so then they would sort of back away. And again, both teams are in range for the Lord kill, so at this point, I would have been on my toes watching for it, just in case.
Enough. So they're just going to give up that.
And they are grouping up here now, so this should have been this could have been another red flag on red team's part.
Like they're gathering up
I believe they had sight on this what happened here.
Terrible. Let's go somewhere else. Here we go. Let's see Sam though. Yeah, it looks like they're going for a
Yes.
triple
Okay.
or a quadruple refuge over here to.
So here's what happens. More than like what red team thought here was, what caused Meta to fall on the solar screen? That I can't answer for you, unfortunately. You would have to ask them. They possibly got overconfident about their ability to fight in smaller groups and sort of decide, okay, guys, we got this, so split up defenses, which could have been the huge mistake. At the same time, it could have just been an oversight to where they didn't realize it was happening until it was too late. But again, we're seeing the Shadow Refuge now. Now, again, because I don't really have access to the spectator mode, I can't tell if red team saw this, but needless to say, if red team saw this, the next few minutes here could have gone very differently.
I think he feels he's running back to the point, going to try to keep it neutral as long as he can. Actually,
Oh,
they might
no,
be
they're
pushing
going
through
for
the
the
code for the
Lord.
Lord. Oh my goodness.
And at this point we see this, so I want you guys to actually watch the mini map down here if you can see it. You go full screen if you need to. But we're gonna see here, and this happens with most games where a Lord Rush happens. We just get that oh shit moment, and we're probably gonna see all of red team sort of gravitate back here.
Immediately changing routes, going over for the gate, dropping it down. We have 3-4 people over here.
You're seeing
They
it
want
now
to win
already.
right now, rushing right to the Lord. Looks like Pishes are on their way to defend. So it looks like main meta wants to win right now. We do see Gem the Battlemaster coming up to defend. Immediately Shadow Refuges them, but they are going for it regardless. If they get this kill, they win right now.
Looks like red team's starting to funnel in here on the fight. Oh man, blue team actually.
And another note here too, they picked a pretty good time. They picked a pretty good time to do this, because most of red team was sort of in this area where I'm pointing to now with my mouse. They weren't gravitated toward Quarry, or there wasn't. I don't even believe there was anyone in the spawn. I think someone popped up when they got in there, but there wasn't really anyone back there. So they had that element of surprise. There wasn't really anyone to reinforce, with the exception of whoever was on Quarry. But as you've seen, everyone on the red team, which is the exception of these two guys, which I think they actually went over to try and counter kill a Lord. Everyone on red team fell back into the defense.
He had a really good job getting in here. Oh my god, Lord is at 50% HP. They're actually getting a lot of damage on it. They still have most of their teammates up here as well. I think they're going to have this Lord kill.
He's almost dead.
I think we're going to see our first Lord kill in a tournament. This is actually amazing. Jim actually does go down, so they lost a pretty good amount of their damage here. They're doing a pretty good job of keeping the Red Lord up. This is actually a...
Let's look at right there, too. That's where a mistake in Main of Meta's part was made. If they hadn't... If Pish had a stronger presence here, that could have been a final mistake. Now, what was his final mistake? It was pretty hard to miss, so it was pretty hard to catch, actually, so let's go back and see what happened there. Apologies, Vanilla.
Dead.
We think we're going to see our first Lord kill in a tournament. This is actually amazing. Jim actually does go down, so they lost a...
So I'll just turn it down anyway. So I'll just turn it down from there. So what we see here is that the Lord healed. Yes, the Lord healed. But a lot of people don't realize you could interrupt that Lord. And like I said, if Pish had a stronger presence here, that could have been it. But nonetheless, much to the caster's excitement, MIM did get this kill, which allowed them to push on and actually win the tournament. So it was a nice play. There was a few things that could have gone differently with it, but nonetheless, it was a nice play.
I didn't even see that kill coming, man. That was rough.
And it was a pretty close one too. It could have completely gone the wrong way if they tried to daze with it. Yeah, I saw that as well. So the Lord, I believe the Lord, at least to my knowledge, the Lord does not have stability. So it could have been, what it could have been is sometimes, because the Lord actually does a pretty decent amount of damage. So what they might have done is they might have just sort of popped all their cooldowns there, popped all their stuns there to sort of keep themselves at a higher health pool. But at the same time, they could have just overlooked it, because at this point, the whole fight had become just a clusterfuck of particle effects, and they might not have caught it. Because there is no cast bars. They would have had to see the emote. They would have had to see him raising his hand in the air. So, real quick, Does anyone have any questions pertaining to that match before we move on to the next one? And yes, they did mow the Lord. That is correct. If anyone has any questions pertaining to that match and wants me to go over specific parts of it, please let me know and we'll do our best. And if not, we're going to move on to the next one. No? Okay. All right. So we